Christ is risen. Brother in Christ, Christ is risen. He's risen indeed. Happy Easter, everybody. It's a great time to be a Catholic. It's a great day to be a Catholic because Christ is risen. What's there to be complained about? I'm just so incredibly joyful and happy right now. And I just wanted to jump on and give thanks for a very important thing in the Novus Ordo, because I spend a lot of time criticizing the Novus Ordo, and it's important to take time to give thanks for the things that we can be thankful for in the Novus Ordo. I had a student, I was teaching a high school catechism class, and the student asked, what are the things that we can see that are good in the Novus Ordo? So I listed a number of things, and one of the things is what I'm going to talk about today, which is the Mystagogy. In my book, I talk about what I term the fourth Greco-Roman renewal, which is where, beginning in the 19th century, a very, very large number of patristic texts began to be analyzed, rediscovered. In terms of textual criticism, there were manuscripts were collected, corrected, more than any that the church had ever seen up to that point. So in the 1840s and 50s, this whole process of resourcing the fathers was coming to the fore. And this is what provided the basis for a patristic renewal, a rediscovery of ancient traditions, ancient wisdom that had been lost or obscured. And this is what really, which is in theory, this is what the Novus Ordo is trying to accomplish. But what I'm about to discuss is where I think it actually does succeed in that aim. And that is in restoring the concept of the Mystagogy. What is the Mystagogy? Well, the whole cycle of Septuagesima, Lent, and Paschal Tide is based on there's the penitential basis in the ancient church, but there's also the catechetical basis, because at the Easter Vigil, as you know, is the period when the catechumens would be baptized. And what this meant was, in the ancient church, there was, as you may know in your missal, there's the liturgy of the catechumens, which is in the Novus Ordo is called the liturgy of the word, going all the way up to the sermon. The reason it's called the liturgy of the catechumens is that at the sermon was when the catechumens were actually meant, they were taken out of the church. And so the catechumens could not continue in the mass after the sermon, because after the sermon is the liturgy of the faithful, which is where there is the divine Eucharistic mystery, the mystery of the Eucharist, which is a divine mystery. And the idea was that the catechumens could not see the mystery. They could not participate in any way with the mystery of the Eucharist because they had not been initiated and illumined. The ancient, in Greek, the use of the term illumination was used for baptism. And so after baptism, in the Roman Rite, you would have the neophytes would be baptized. They would put on their alb, their white robe, and they would wear that white robe through all of the Easter octave until the Sunday in Albis, the Dominica in Albis, the low Sunday, which was the second Sunday of Easter, the Easter Sunday and the low Sunday, which is where the catechumens would take off their white robes. But they would be entering into the Mystagogy. The Mystagogy is, now that they've been initiated, they've been initiated into the mystery, and now they can be catechized in the mysteries. They've been catechized on the mysteries, but now they can really enter into the mysteries. And so this is a process where the catechism would continue. But it's not catechism anymore. Now it's called mystagogy. The term in Greek means to lead into the mysteries. Now you've been initiated into the mysteries. You are in the mysteries. And now we're going to continue to lead you into those mysteries. And what Vatican II Novus Ordo did was it resourced this concept of mystagogy, where Paschal Tide is where we want to take the neophytes and initiate them into the mystagogy. So I was, years ago when I was a part of a Reverend Novus Ordo parish, my wife and I actually had the privilege of catechizing to a brother and sister who were coming into the church. And so we catechized them through the RCIA process. But then after they were baptized, then we continued to catechize them in this new frame of mystagogy. And I found it to be very powerful for myself, even though I was already a Catholic. And I could see how amazing it was. And one of the aspects of this is that the church traditionally reads the mystical gospel. So during the readings during Lent are very much based on the synoptic tradition and Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Excuse me. But in Paschaltide, the church reads the mystical gospel, St. John. And so this is why this is part of our annual Bible reader. So we put based on the mystagogy, the reading of St. John, so that we can go through Paschaltide and into the mystagogy of Paschaltide, going through the Gospel of St. John. Now, this is all in theory. It's like RCIA can be good if it's practiced well. It can be bad if it's practiced bad. Same with the mystagogy. Fair enough. But there is actually a text in which these patristic sources are in fact resourced, and that's the Liturgy of the Hours. Now, I have lots of criticisms for the Liturgy of the Hours, but this is actually one piece which I think is very well done, and I look forward to it every year, honestly. And that is taking all of these patristic sources that had been resourced, rediscovered, edited for the first time, and it takes the mystagogy, so all of the 50 plus days of Paschaltide, and it puts all these patristic sources into all Paschaltide. So there's a patristic reading for every single day of Paschaltide. And so now we have a patristic mystagogy. One of my favorites is the Paschal sermon of St. Melito of Sardis. I first encountered this in college in my Greek class, and it was the most powerful thing, one of the most amazing things I've ever read. Just absolutely astounding. And this is one of these patristic texts that is now put into the Liturgy of the Hours. So this is actually read on, I believe it's Holy Thursday, but it's read during the initiation into the Paschal Mystery and into the Paschaltide and the Mystagogy. One of my other favorites is from the reading on Holy Saturday. It's this patristic text about the harrowing of hell. It's amazing. I look forward to reading this every single year at Holy Saturday. And you can look at the references when they say PG or PL. Those are from that 19th century text that was being resourced, and they put into. So every single morning during Paschaltide, I can read these patristic readings and enter into this mystagogy. So the rest of our Bible reading group. So we read through the mystical gospel, which is traditionally read, and then we also bookend. As the liturgy does, there's a bookend. There's the Easter Vigil bookend with the Pentecost Vigil. So you have the Easter Vigil and the Pentecost Vigil, and they're very similar services. They both have 12 prophecies. And so we read Ezra and Haggai for Easter, and then Nehemiah and Zechariah for Pentecost. And these are bookend books all about rebuilding the temple, the second temple, and which parallel typologically with the meaning of the building of the church. So we go through the mystical gospel, and then we continue through the Torah into Joshua, aka the book of Jesus, son of Nun, and Judges and Ruth, as well as the so-called Catholic epistles. So if you want to join the Bible reading group, you can join. Go to meaningofcatholic.com/register. And this is the main thing. I just wanted to share the joy of Paschaltide with you, point out an important and great thing about the Novus Ordo, which I think does very well, and it provides this great patristic wisdom that was not available previously. To give you an example, the text by St. Thomas Aquinas, Contra Errores Graecorum, contains perhaps potentially 50% patristic quotations, which are in fact interpolations or not true quotations from the fathers. And so it's a very important thing to actually get all these manuscripts corrected, edited, and have all the textual criticism that it needs to get these texts out there. But with this liturgy of the hours, we can enter into this mystagogy. So stay tuned for we'll restart Meaning of Catholic. We've taken a little Easter hiatus, but I just wanted to get on and give thanks to God for Paschaltide and this important thing for the Novus Ordo. So that's all we have. Stay tuned on Monday. We'll get back to the Our Lady of Victory morning show. As always, if you want to support our apostolate, meaningofcatholic.com/register. God bless everybody. Christ is risen.